If you're here today, there's something running through your mind that you want to do. There is no reason for you to be here today unless there's something running through your mind that you want to do. How many people here are over 40 years old? Raise your hands. Raise them high. Raise high. Don't be scared. Raise high. There's no, Jesus Christ, this is a young crowd. For the very small percentage of us here that are over 40, thanks brother, there's like 8 of us, bro. For like the 11 of us, look, this is a lot of fun. For the 11 of us, we lived life before this. We were grown-ups already before the internet came. I was 18 years old. I'd lived my life, at least the childhood part of my life, without the internet. The biggest thing that excites me, especially in a mature internet market like here, WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Spotify, like there's so much opportunity and you don't even have to leave your home. There was no building your life, after hours when I was growing up. When you had a job and you had to take care of something, you didn't then start another job because it was late. But now this allows it. The biggest thing that I want to get across in this little moment of this speech is everybody in here is taking this for granted. Your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, they didn't have this. If you aren't succeeding or attacking your success with this in your hand, then what are you doing? Every single person here has the opportunity to create a profile and a presence online, whether it's yourself or your business or your idea, and the cost is zero. I love when people get mad when Facebook or Instagram's organic reach goes down. I keep reminding them it's free. How many people here are on Instagram? Raise your hand. Over the next year or two, Instagram's reach is gonna go down because more ads are gonna go in. So as you can imagine, I'm so passionate to get you to post 3 or 4 times a day, not once a day, yet everybody overthinks their posts so much because they're so scared not to get as many likes as they did last time. It's true. It's 100% true. The amount of people here who want to post something but retake it 53 times or change the filter or things of that nature, or my favorite move, you post it, but in the first 83 seconds, you don't get enough likes and you remove it. It's a fascinating thing for me to watch because what it speaks to is, in my opinion, people being confused about the game. I view the game macro. I watch most people play micro. You're not in the business of getting likes on Instagram, yet you're pandering to the machine of that. You're in the business of creating awareness for whatever you want. You want people to know what you want them to know, whatever that may be. Business, raise money for a charity, sell something, become a personal brand, whatever it might be. Whatever it might be, that's what you want, yet people get so caught up in the semantics. Listen, what I can tell you from my career is this repeats over and over and over again. In 2006, I started one of the first YouTube shows, period. It was the longest show on YouTube when I launched it. YouTube wasn't even a year old. I sat in front of a camera and I drank wine for 30 minutes and a lot of people watched it. A year later, Twitter came out and I was one of the first people to move on that. I invested because I got smarter at that point, but I also was one of the first people to amass 1 million followers on that platform. Before I did YouTube and Twitter, a year or two earlier in America and many other parts of the world, MySpace had won and dominated, and there were people that won on that platform. If you pay attention to what happened on MySpace, if you pay attention to what happened on YouTube, if you pay attention to what happened on Twitter and then Facebook and then Vine and on and on and on, it's all the same game. In the beginning, if you move quickly, you can get more attention. Most people get frustrated that they aren't first and then they don't go all in because they think they missed it. However, winning on these platforms is a game of being better, not first. Being better comes in 2 ways. This is where it gets very important, my friends. Being better on putting out content only comes out in 2 ways. Either entertainment, right? Or information. If you are putting out content on these websites and trying to grow, you want to succeed and build an audience, You either do information, you know what you're talking about, whether it's painting nails, business, wine, sneakers, hair care, I don't care what it is. You either know or you entertain. Entertainment comes in a lot of ways. This is playing out on Instagram. Entertainment comes in being funny. Entertainment comes in being musical. Entertainment and escapism comes in being attractive, being a model. It all plays. If you're lucky enough to have both, it gets really crazy. But if you do not do one or the other, you lose. If you go look at your Instagram account right now and look at the last 10 posts, my question to you is very simple. Did you post those posts for your audience so they could be entertained or informed? Or did you post it for yourself, for your own self-esteem or insecurities? Let me save you time. You posted it for yourself. The biggest takeaway that you could have from here, in my opinion, is a couple things. Number one, you are very fortunate to live in a country with disproportionate advances on these platforms. When I look at the data of how much attention is on this device and those 6 platforms in this country and the size of this country, it is staggering. This is one of the best places in the world to produce content for YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's one of the best places in the world. See, you did it again. You clapped for yourself. Oh, actually, fun fact, back to this amazing place and the internet and apps. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but I was actually one of the first 5 investors in Path, which was a huge app here for a long period of time before it shut down a year ago. So because I was an early investor in Path, and because this became the biggest market for Path 4 or 5 years ago, I spent a lot of time paying attention to this market from far away. And what I can tell you is this, the beauty of the people that live here, and there's so much, it's funny, there's so much amazingness, in the world that I see, how many people here consume my content? Raise your hands. Thank you. Thank you. So if you do, you have a good sense of me. You can imagine why I love Indonesia so much. All the love and optimism and warmth plays out here. But the biggest thing that I'm passionate about is getting people to be less insecure and care less about what people think, especially their parents, plays out here too. And so for me, it's a really interesting market to look at with trends and how people do things and what they respond to and who they follow and why. And so what I can tell you is, if you are capable to be strong enough internally to start posting on these platforms more truth, more your truth, your truth, you will see a remarkable return on that investment in this market.
So you spend a minute each on those? So basically 3 minutes each, 3 1/3 minutes each, and we're done, all right? How many want to try it, all right? Then let's do it. So before you do, stand up. Shake your body out, and if you're gonna relax, the fastest way to relax is first push yourself to a high level of energy, then it allows you to drop deeper. So find a partner and go, I own ya.
So I'm a guy, I appreciate every facet, every phase, what some may consider to be success, failure, opposition, ups, downs. I appreciate every facet of life, and I firmly believe that life is the greatest classroom, right? And when I encounter situations, my perspective goes to a place of, okay, life, what are you trying to teach me right now? But it wasn't always in that space until the year of 2006, when I was at the University of Tennessee pursuing this dream to go to the NFL, which I soon found out it didn't just stand for National Football League, it also stood for not for long. But when I was pursuing this dream to happen and manifest, in one moment, I lost everything I had been working for my whole life. And the next day when I woke up, my life has never been the same ever again, right? And so when it happened, not only did it alter my life, God stepped in, used the situation to alter my perspective. And so I look at people, situations, places, and things, I view it differently, right? And so I landed in Seattle a couple of months ago around midnight. Right, an amazing thing happened. I land in Seattle, a gentleman picks me up from the airport, and we ride to my hotel, and when I get out of the car, I say to the gentleman, man, thanks a lot, I greatly appreciate it. And he says to me, no problem, I just want to let you know, I'll be the guy that's coming back to pick you up in the morning. I said, okay, great, what time would you like for me to be down? He says 7:15. I said, great, I'll see you then. The next morning I come down, we greet each other, we get in the car, we're riding to the venue that I'm scheduled to speak, and maybe 5 minutes into the trip, I look up and I look in the mirror and the gentleman is crying his eyes out. And I say to him, sir, is everything okay? And he responds, I want to paint a picture for you. He said, my normal job is not in transportation. I'm not a driver. He said, my buddy owns the company. He said, whenever he gets overwhelmed with shifts, he'll call me and say, hey man, can you cover a shift? And usually I'll do it because we do a lot of work with the Seattle Seahawks. And so when I drop a guy off, I'll go on the computer, look him up. Pretty cool experience. He said, so naturally when I dropped you off last night, I went on the computer at my house. I started to look you up. And he said, I saw a video about redirection and I saw a video about perspective. And he said, the reason I'm crying is because I just lost my wife. My wife just died. He said, and I've been living my life thinking, surely there's nothing else that can bring me the passion, the energy, the fuel, the driving force that my wife once brought me. Surely there's nothing else as purposeful as my wife to make me get up and give everything I got to everything I'm a part of. And he said, when I saw the video, it's not that it could replace my wife because nothing could ever replace my wife. He said, but when I saw the video, the amazing thing it did was it altered my perspective and it gave me a new sense of energy. I said, great. I said, man, can I ask you a question? He said, sure. I said, you said you had 2 kids, right? He said, yep. I said, okay, cool. Could you tell me at a basic level, in the midst of the opposition, how did you get up every single day, put one foot in front of the other, go out of the door, carry on in your career, and raise your other 2 children in the midst of the adversity? Can you tell me when you took the blow, you had to absorb the blow, how did you get up every single day and still look at life with some sort of energy and do what you had to do? Right? Because the quote says it. You judge the character of a person not by where they stand in times of comfort and convenience. You judge the character of a person by where they stand in times of challenges and controversy. Mike Tyson said it best. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Like everybody is on fire for the Lord until opposition happens. Or when the situation or the circumstances change and they don't get what they expected to get. And so I wanted to understand in the midst of the opposition, how did you get up and how did you carry on and stay committed to your family and to your career? And he said to me, I have to be honest with you. Follow me. He said, my wife had been sick for 30 years. He said she was wheelchair bound. He said the situation in our household had gotten so toxic that every single day we would get up and when we would meet each other in the living room, we would just bicker, argue, fuss, say certain things to each other to the point to where I couldn't take it anymore. And I called one of my buddies and said, I'm leaving. Can I come and stay with you? He said, sure, man, come on. He said, I left. I packed a little night bag. I get to my buddy's house. I get up the next morning. I'm in the mirror and I'm brushing my teeth. And as I'm brushing my teeth, he said he's saying to himself, for richer or for poor. Yeah, we've been pretty poor. For better or for worse. Yeah, things have gotten pretty worse. Through sickness and health. And he stopped, put his toothbrush in his bag, zipped it up. And he said when he looked in the mirror, the conviction said to him, you didn't finish. So you didn't do what you said you were gonna do. You didn't stand in the pocket how you said you were gonna stand it. You didn't be the man that you told her you were gonna be. You were all good when it was all good, but when things started to go south, you weren't the man that you said you were gonna. You didn't fulfill your promise. And he said the conviction took him right back to his home, and when he walked in the door at his home, his wife was sitting there in the wheelchair, and as soon as he walked through the door, she said, what are you doing here? And he said she started giving it to him, and he said to her, I deserve it. Get it out. Say everything you gotta say to me. And he said when she finished, he told her, I just want you to know I'm never leaving again. I'll never go anywhere. Right? No matter how tough it gets, no matter how rough it gets, no matter how bad it gets, I just want you to know I'm gonna stand in the pocket and I'm gonna be here as your husband. I said, can I ask you another question? He said, sure. I said, if you can go back, shift the situation, change anything about it, what would you do differently? He said, it's easy. He said, I would have shifted my perspective and I would have embraced the opposition a lot earlier. He said, because the moment my perspective shifted, not only did my disposition switch, it shifted my whole household. He said, the funny thing is, because of our perspective, we didn't view the opposition as opposition anymore. We started to view the opposition in adversity as an opportunity. I said, bingo. I said, because I'm a firm believer that perspective drives performance every day of the week. How an individual view what they do will always affect how they do what they do, right? The amazing thing about it is I love the game of football, right? I loved everything about it. I was a part of something to where I can inflict violence and not get in trouble for it. Sign me up every day of the week, right? I loved every bit of it. But I understood very early that the game of football was kind of like this stage. It was a platform that God had provided for me to cultivate a certain level of excellence and greatness so that one day when I could no longer play the game, it was certain things I could extract from it to apply to other areas and aspects of my life to make me somewhat of a decent human being. And so the most amazing thing about it was I had a coach, I was just texting him backstage. He changed my life, right? When I was coming up inner city Atlanta, born to my mother at 16, in a 2-bedroom home with 14 people. And I had this dream to go to the NFL, but I didn't have the resources, and I was stuck playing tackle football in the street. And I saw a guy that paid for not only me and my 3 cousins, he paid for kids all across Atlanta, and he didn't want anything in return. And one day when I got the opportunity to ask him a question, because he had to drop me off at home after practice, and my mother was working a double shift at Wendy's. And I'll never forget, I got out of his truck, and my house was 125 Warren Street at the time. And when I got out, I said, Coach, man, I really appreciate it. He said, all right, Inky, I'll see you tomorrow. I said, can I ask you something? I said, sure. I said, why do you do what you do? And he opened his door, got out of his truck, walked around, stood directly in front of me, and I'll never forget, he said to me, son, I'm gonna share something with you, and I don't want you to ever forget it. He said, as long as you can make sure that somebody else's life is okay, he said, son, God will always make sure that your life is okay. And he got in his truck and he left. And so it was hard for me to understand when we played the game of football, how could an individual be a part of an institution and not give everything they had to it if they were doing it for the glory of God? It was hard for me to understand how, if a person had somebody that they loved and they cared about, how could they not push them to get the best out of them if they were doing it for the glory of God and they viewed it in a certain light? And so when I got to the University of Tennessee, I'm gonna be honest, it was Mayberry for me. I was like, man, y'all get smoothies. Like you get steak, shrimp, and spaghetti. Like guys today are spoiled, right? They got their own barbershop, right? They got AC in their lockers, right? They got nap pods. Pods where they could be walking and stop and take a nap. Pods, nap pods. Listen to me for a moment, nap pods. Where they could just be walking and it's like a nap pod. You're tired, you could go take a nap. Nap pod. It blows my mind, right? And I had 2 meetings, and in these 2 meetings, the job of the meetings was to get a sense of direction of what I wanted to accomplish. And so in one meeting, I said, okay, I want to graduate in 3 years, and I want to go to the NFL. They said, well, Inky, you didn't just knock out your testing. I said, I get that, but I really want to help my family. And we had a scrimmage, and I'll never forget our first scrimmage, and I was so excited, I was so hyped. I'm an undersized guy. I'm passionate about the game. I want to give everything I got to it. I have a great scrimmage, right? I'm talking trash. I was a big trash talker, right? Clean trash, but I was a big trash talker. And our chaplain, who now works with the Tennessee Titans, James Mitchell, was present. And when we broke it down and we were walking off the field and I was carrying my pads, and he said, hey, come here. And I jogged over to him and said, hey, man, how you doing? He said, I want you to meet me in my office in the morning. You talking a little crazy. I said, all right, cool. And the next morning I go to see him and I sit down in his office. I said, hey, man, Mitch, how you doing? Like, hey, man, I'm great. I said, what's up, man? What's the meeting about? He said, I want to disciple you. I said, what is that? I said, that sounds hard. He said, yeah, I want to disciple you, like spiritually. I want to go deep with you. I want to help you develop. He said, like when you have meetings with football, like position meetings, I want you to meet with me prior to the meeting, and I want to be able to give you homework, and I want to make you sacrifice and abstain for certain things. I want to help you develop spiritually. That's what discipleship is. I want to go deeper with you. I said, okay, can you give me a second? I want to go talk to my roommates and see, can they do this with me and walk with me, because I want a certain level of accountability. He said, yeah, go talk to him. I go talk to my roommates. At the time, it was Gerard Mayo, who went first round 10 pick to the Patriots. Now he's the Patriots linebackers coach. It was Robert Ayers, who went first round 18 pick to the Denver Broncos. It was Ramon Foster. He's starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers still until this day, and he went free agent. He's been starting for him ever since he got in the league. And I went to him and I said, hey man, here's the deal. He wants to walk with us spiritually. Are you guys down? He was like, yeah, let's do it. I said, I get it. We want to be great athletes, but I think we want to be well-rounded as men as well. And this could be really beneficial, and we can hold each other accountable. When one guy gets weak, another guy can step up and help him out. Can we do this? It was like, yeah, let's do it. Right? In the first meeting, we tried it just to see how serious he was. He gave us some homework. We showed up to the meeting. None of us did the homework. He had us look up some scripture. We walk in and we sit down. He was like, you got your work? We were like, nope. He was like, get out. He's like, come on, man. Like, let's go through the lesson. He's like, no, get out. And when we walked out, I'll never forget, Mayo said, oh, he wasn't playing. I was like, no, he's not playing. right? And the next meeting we showed up and we had everything. We would be in the complex at 4:30 in the morning, going over scripture. We'd be in the complex at 4:30 in the morning with our Bibles open, and Mitch was challenging us. We'd be in at 4:30 in the morning, and he was talking to us about abstaining from sex. We'd be there at 4:30 in the morning. He would be talking to us about different challenges and how to lead our teammates.
not curse the only thing you have. Don't complain about the only thing you have, which is seed and soil, sunshine, rain, miracle, and season. But start changing and processing and evaluating things like we're covering today, and this process of change will take off for you. You will not believe what can happen in such a short period. Next subject, personal development. Some of the things Mr. Shoaff taught me starting at age 25, some things came quickly, some things came easily. Setting goals, that was easy. We're going to talk about that later on. But this one I had to struggle with, personal development. It was hard for me to give up my old blame list. It was so comfortable blaming the government and blaming my negative relatives and the company policy, unions, wage scale, economy, interest rates, prices and circumstances and all that. That was difficult for me to give up. That was quite a transition for me to make and blaming myself. But Mr. Shoaff started out with something very, very important. Let me give that to you. He said, it's not what happened that determines the major part of your future. It's not what happens. What happens, happens to us all. He said, the key is what you do about it. It's not what happens, it's what you do about it. And he said, if you will start that process of change, do something different the next 90 days than you did the last 90 days, like picking up the books to read. Do something different, like the new health discipline, relationship with your family, whatever it is, doesn't matter how small it is. If you'll start doing different things with the same circumstances, since we cannot change the circumstance, but we can change ourselves. We can change what we do. And then he gave me another secret to success when he said, what you have at the moment, Mr. Owen, you've attracted by the person you've become. What you have at the moment, you've attracted by the person you've become. Few little simple principles here. Once you understand these, it starts to explain so much. Now, sometimes it's a little tough to take, blaming yourself instead of the marketplace, taking responsibility instead of putting it off on someone else. That transition sometimes is a challenging mission. And this one was a little tough for me. He said, Mr. Owen, you've got pennies in your pocket, you've got nothing in the bank, the creditors are calling, you're behind on your promises. And he says, here's how that occurs. You've attracted, up until now, you've attracted the things to you because of the person you've become. Now I said, well, how can I change all that? He said, very simple. If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. And then he said, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes. And he said, it'll all change for you. So let's talk a little bit about personal development. That extraordinary adventure I undertook starting at age 25. And I've never ceased that adventure. I'm still going for it. In the 90s, I want to get better and better. I want my craft to get better, my business operations to get better, the things I do to get better. Because once I picked up this simple formula, I'm telling you, it's easy to figure out where the problem is if you go to work on it. Now, let's talk about personal development. And in helping kids understand personal development, I always start with money. Now, money's not the only place to start. Money certainly isn't the only value, but we've all got to start somewhere, and money's something you can count. Right? Kids are interested in money. Okay. A lot of things are a little tougher to measure, but economics is pretty easy, right? Because you can count. Okay. Somebody says, how are you doing? You say, I don't know. Let's count. Now, this is not the only count. I understand that. There's a lot of other things to count. But to see if there may be some errors in your judgment and lack of disciplines in your life, we might as well start with money. Because it's so easy to count. So let's just start there and see whether or not maybe we have messed up. Okay. So here's how I explain it to kids. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. Key to understanding economics. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. Marketplace is also described as reality. Reality, the marketplace. Now, it takes time. It takes time to bring value to the marketplace, but we don't get paid for time. It's very important for kids to understand, as well as adults. We don't get paid for time. Mistakenly, the man says, well, I'm making about $20 for an hour. Not true. Not true. If that was true, you could just stay home, have them send your money. No, it's not true. You don't get paid for the hour. You get paid for the value you put in the time. So we don't get paid for time, we get paid for value. Now, since that's true, here's one of the key questions of the afternoon. Is it possible to become twice as valuable and make twice as much money in the same time? Is it possible to become 3 times as valuable as you now are and make 3 times as much money in the same time? Is that possible? Of course. If you want to really emphasize something, that's a good phrase. Of course. Of course. Now, all you have to do to earn more money in the same time is simply become more valuable. America's unique. It's a ladder to climb. Starts down here, what? About $4 an hour? Big argument last year in Congress about the starting place. Should be 5, should be 5, should be 5. Well, no, it doesn't need to be 5. Why not start with 4? It's a ladder. Right? This is not a bed. This is a ladder. This is a ladder to climb. Starts at $4. Now somebody said, well, should be 5, should be 5. Well, maybe. If you're going to stay at the bottom for the rest of your life, it probably should be 5. But that's kind of a pitiful way to live. Start and not grow. Start and not change. Start and not become more valuable. Hey, the whole scenario of life is to start, number 1, and what? Become more valuable, number 2. So America's a ladder to climb. Starts at $4 an hour, and the more valuable you become, you just keep moving up the ladder. Top income last year, what? 52 million? Guy that runs Disney? Would a company pay somebody for 1 year's work $52 million? And the answer is, of course. This is one of those of course places. Of course. If you help a company make $1 billion, would they pay you $52 million? The answer is, of course. It's chicken feed. I mean, it's not much money. Now, why that much money? Because he has become so valuable. Now, why would we pay somebody only $4 an hour? They're not very valuable to the marketplace. Now, we got to make that distinction, to the marketplace. Might be a valuable brother, a valuable member of the community, valuable member of the church, valuable member in the sight of God, to the human family, of course, those kind of values. But to the marketplace, which is called what? Reality. Reality is, if you're not very valuable, you don't get much money. Those are called the fact. I mean, that's how that is. Well, then how do you get more money? Simple answer. Somebody says, well, I'll go on strike for more. Well, here's a major problem with that. Here's a major problem with that. You can't get rich by demand.
See, once and for all, it's really interesting. Once and for all, you could find out what you're capable of. Once and for all, you could find out if you're capable of becoming this man or woman you always dreamed about. Once and for all, you could do this here. I hope right now you're kind of getting those feelings I described the other night, those butterflies, that hope, that fear, like, can I do it? Like that football Friday night feeling before a game, that anticipation. See, what you should feel right now is alive. I hope what WFG makes you feel is alive. See, because life's not worth living without some anticipation, the looking forward to the future, wondering whether you can do it. If WFG gives us anything in our lives, it's not only just hope, it's not only just opportunity, but it's anticipation of what the future could look like, or what our lives could look like, where our families could be someday. And we got some decisions to make this hour, and I want them to help you, help me make them. If you could ever go through this life without ever knowing what you were capable of, if you could walk through this time on earth, never going to the places you're supposed to go, never becoming the person you're supposed to be, never helping the people you were supposed to help, never taking your children around the world and seeing the places you're supposed to see. If you could never go through life without wondering and knowing that, you're in the right place with us. We are the greatest business opportunity in the world today. Amen? Is that right? See, in your life, you're going to get what you tolerate. Stop tolerating for these people who have believed in you all your life, an inferior life for you. Stop allowing God to bless you and give you all this giftedness and opportunity and settle and tolerate less. For those babies that are sitting here with you, your children and grandchildren, stop being willing to tolerate less for them. Don't tolerate it anymore. Yeah, you got to give it your best, but it starts making a decision that this is over. I don't tolerate this life anymore. Pretty good's not good enough for my family. Pretty good's not good enough for my grandmother. Pretty good's not good enough for my grandpa, my parents, my future children. Pretty good ain't going to get it done for this family. Now I hope you hear them whispering to you, he's right. You can do this. You're great. You're special. You were born for a reason. I hope you can feel that. Life's going to give you ultimately what you'll fight for.
I'm supposed to talk, and I want to reiterate, though, I'm just a motivational speaker. That's what I am. You know, Bishop has inspired me, and it's really helped me understand my walk. You know, I'm nothing no more than you. You know, my job has been exceptional, though. I've been very blessed in that I've lived a life. God has enabled me to pursue my passion and tied it to my gift. I'm gifted at comedy, and I've been able to pursue it. So I wake up every day, and for a living, I play music and tell jokes. How big of a blessing is that? But you know, people, they look at that, but see, you lose sight of the fact that I'm 54, though. And you don't know the fact that I've been doing this 27 years in order to get to the point where I can wake up and play music and tell jokes for a living. It's like my guest, Tim Gannon, who explained the fact that he wanted to play polo. He didn't buy a pony till he was 40. He saw the first race at 16, the first match at 16. He didn't get that till he was 40. But so people look at him as the owner of the Outback Steakhouse and they go, wow, but they have no idea the journey and the stress. And what I want to talk to you about is stress. What stress is, what it really is. How it's necessary if you're planning on getting to where you're trying to go to. See, stress is God's way of training you. It's preparation. But what most people do is, see, once you get stressed, you don't want that no more. So now you give up. You through. I'm stressed, so I don't want it. Nobody likes stress. You know, I work with a trainer. I have to work out. You know, 54, I'm supposed to, really, I ain't nothing fly, nothing like that. Really, I am, but, you know, I'm not, you know, you've been to your reunion. And you didn't know who was talking to you because you was going, whoa. And then you're going to look in the mirror and go, okay, I need to check myself. Do I look that bad? Because some people just let themselves go. But you got to, in order to develop and to change and to grow, stress is necessary. So you got to be willing to go get it every day. There's a story my father told me all the time. Now, I've heard it several different ways, but I'm just telling you the way my daddy gave it to me. He said, son, he said, every morning on the plains of the eastern Serengeti Desert, there arises a gazelle that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest lion, or he will be eaten and he will die that day. On that same desert arises in the morning a lion that realizes that he must run faster than the fastest gazelle, or he will starve and he will die that day. He say, son, the moral of the story is, no matter who you is, when you wake up in the morning, you needs to be running. No matter, and he said, no matter who you is. This proper grammar is who you are, but my daddy didn't do that, and I was comfortable with it. And so what he taught me was a work ethic of how to work. In order to get to where you want to go, you got to put yourself under some stress, though. See, stress is necessary. God is a trainer. This is what I done learned about it. And all I can tell you is, you know, how I got to be who I am. That's all I can share with you. I got no other stories for you. He got me to this point because from so far from what I done gathered in the process I'm in, he wants me to share my story with those that's still trying to get there. And at 40, you can still buy the pony.
I was saying, drink, Rock, drink. Drink, Rock. I'd have gone get him some more if he'd asked me to. Then pretty soon the phone rang. It was the general manager. And I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, young boy, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I said to myself, he must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra, said, y'all come out on the front porch and turn up the radio. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and segue the records, but don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get old Rock out of the way. I put on a fast record. I said, look out, this is me, LB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, indubitably qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. I was hungry. Get old man a round of applause. I was hungry. I was hungry. You gotta be hungry. Shake someone's hand on your right and left all around you and say, you gotta be hungry. You gotta be hungry. To get those dreams out of your head and step into your greatness, you got to be hungry. To get those ideas, that talent, that gift out of your system, you got to be hungry. To get up off the canvas of life and understand what Willie Jolly meant, that a setback is a setup for a comeback, you got to be hungry. People that are hungry are willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. How many of you got value out of what you've heard thus far? Raise your hands, please. Very good. I'd like to leave this with you. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what you want to do. Here's what I know about you. You have greatness within you. Here's what I know about you. I can help you to live full and to die empty. I can show you what I've learned. If anybody told me that I would be doing what I'm doing now, I leave here today, I go to New Orleans and speak there, then I'll be flown to Barcelona. If anybody told me, given my circumstances, born in an abandoned building on a poor section of Miami, Florida, called Liberty City, both my birth parents stood up and said, hello, hello, son, I would not know either one. Being labeled educable mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, failed again when I was in the 8th grade, no college training. Anybody told me the principles that I would teach you, that they would have the impact that it has had on my life. This Les Brown that you see, I did not know he existed. And I tell you that you have greatness within you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. Come into the room with me, and I guarantee you your life will never be the same again. I like to leave this with you. I don't know what your goals are. Mine is to find a cure to autism. Mine is to find a cure to breast cancer and to prostate cancer. Mine is to work with our youth and to reduce the recidivism rate in our prisons and help young people learn how to become an asset to our society rather than a liability. Mine is to train speakers to become great communicators, to speak from their heart, not their heads, and teach them how to impact and create a new conversation so people can see the possibilities of life and overcome the possibility blindness that held me hostage for 14 years. I don't know what your goals are, but here's what I know about you, and I don't know you. You've got greatness within you. And I like to leave this with you, something my mother used to love to hear me say. Leslie, yes ma'am, mama. Say that thing for me, boy, that makes me feel good. I dedicate this to you, to the greatness in you, and to the dream that you showed up on the planet to produce. And it's simply this. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gulch, sickness or pain, or body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it. God bless you. God bless your dream. God bless peak potentials.